Hey guys, okay, so today's a biggie. This is the man that I would say arguably changed the face of rock. Definitely rock. I would put him as, and hear me out on my argument here, I would put this man as the most influential guitarist of all time. I'll explain why. But the man we are talking about is Mr. Edward Van Halen. This man just shook the world with a guitar. So when I say he was one of the most, or the most influential guitarist, if you think about it, when people say that, they say about the guitars, yeah. So other people, they say about the most influential guitarists, people like Jimmy Page, Eric Clapton, and of course Jimi Hendrix, yeah. Now, yes, those are very, very influential guitarists. But Edward Van Halen was not just influential for his guitar playing and his music. That man also was influential for his equipment, for technology, and the way he was playing in so many different forms. So the first Van Halen album came out in 1978. Yeah, it annihilated the world. Everyone who was everyone was listening and going, "What the hell was that?" Personally, I didn't discover Van Halen, so I'm 53. Yeah, I know it's hard to believe, but the first ever album of theirs that I heard was with Jump. So it was the 1984 album, I think it was. But essentially, so when that came out, it just, wow. And then I got lent to me by an ex-girlfriend's brother. Thank you so much, Jason, for doing that. Oof. But essentially, yeah, that album was the first Van Halen album. And it opened up with Running with the Devil, and then went into Eruption. Oh my God! So his playing, yeah, his playing was completely influential. This is a man basically that influenced people of my age, but then also the people that he influenced. It then went on to influence another generation, another generation, to the point now where, if you think about it, okay, so when I say most influential guitarist, Floyd Rose. If it wasn't for Floyd Rose, well, it wasn't for Edward Van Halen, you wouldn't have Floyd Roses. Okay, the man that actually created the Floyd Rose, which is on so many different guitars these days, yeah. The first person he gave to trial and test, Edward Van Halen. So looking at his, I'm looking at his now. His the first album, the first guitar that he was kind of. I mean, he used loads and loads and loads of different guitars over the years, and actually recorded with so many different guitars that you don't realise. I mean, he played a 1959 Les Paul for a while with just one humbucker. One of his favourite guitars was a 335. People don't realise these kind of things, yeah? But one of the first recognisable guitar of Eddie's was, says a body, a factory second Ash Strat style body from Boogie Bodies, and a two-piece maple neck with a large CBS era Fender headstock. So a Fender headstock, Fender neck on it. But with a Gibson PAF humbucker in it, from a 335, later replaced by a Seymour Duncan. A bridge at that time, so prior to the first Floyd Rose, a Fender Trem. One of the first ever guitarists to go to one knob. I got a single knob on this. Although, and I actually got a married knob now. Sorry, love. I got a married knob now. So, this is my married knob. But just so many different eras. You got the amps then that went on to develop. The EVH 5150s, but then was the 5150s with PV. Then went on to design his own body shape, and the Will Wolfgang. Just so many different aspects of guitar was influenced by this man. So when it came to doing this patch, it was a pleasure. It was an absolute pleasure. I was actually really excited to do it. And I got to thank Vita Girl. So what's the name? Vita Girl. Vita Girl 4345 for commenting on my videos, for suggesting this. So I've gone for, with this patch, I've gone for Edward Van Halen in his early days. So I'm talking the first 2 albums. What I'm also going to take through this, and what I've been asked as well, is to do a little bit of instructional stuff on using scenes. So what I've actually done with this patch, is I've gone for a main dry Ed Van Halen patch, but then I've introduced a couple of different flavors with a phaser, because he was quite famous for using a phaser, the MXR Phase 90. I've put a flanger in there as well, for stuff like Unchained, but Unchained was on one of the other albums that was on Fair Warning, which is a little bit later on, but I thought, bugger it, if we're going to use scenes on this patch, let's use for a few different versions of it. Or the whole base of it, mind, was based around the an earlier flavour of his guitar sound, yeah, based off the first two albums. But then I brought in a couple of choruses in, so a chorus based on a low gain chorus for some of that 5150 clean one that he used to play as part of his solos. But then I've brought in a chorus then for doing some of the tapping stuff, and then finally I've just taken off some of the effects on it to just give it a bit of variation. So there's 8 different scenes here within this one patch. Hopefully you're going to enjoy this. So I'm going to take you through what we did or what I did, and hopefully be of use to you. It's been fun for myself. Actually, the hardest part of doing this bloody video has been playing the style of Ed Van Halen. Again, my get out of jail free phrase is, I cannot play like that monster of a man. Yeah, that king of a man, King Edward. But hopefully, yeah, it's going to bring you some fun. Right, let's take a look at the patch, guys. Okay, so as you can see, it's a very simple patch. One thing I want to try and do with this patch as well was do something that I've been asked, is take you through some of the scenes and how to use scenes. I find with the Quad Cortex, it's really easy to pick up. I know it's available. It was on the Line 6 Helix. I've had a Helix. I didn't find it as intuitive on there, whereas on here I found it incredibly flexible. Almost just amazing part of it. It's been a game changer for me. Anyway, right. So on this year, we've got 8 scenes. Yep. So I've got a normal standard, just a normal amp tone. We got phaser and mo phaser. So essentially, I couldn't get over how much phaser he used in his earlier days. In his latter days, chorus and delays and reverbs and you name it. But in the earlier days, phaser, a lot of phaser. It's not in your face phaser unless he wants it to be. So a lot of the time it's on, we don't really realise it's on. So anyway, so I've got two scenes based around that. We've got the EVH flanger for more your kind of unchained kind of tones. Chorus, I've got one where I'm using the hell of a lot less gain for that 5150-esque kind of tone, the clean one which he used to do was as part of his solo. Then we got the full-on chorus, and then just for a bit of shits and giggles, I've done a couple of scenes then with no delay and a very, very dry sound. Okay, right. So let's, first of all, what I wanted to try and do with this patch was make it as flexible as possible. What I find when I'm creating my patches is that if I use the input gain and the input gate control as opposed to a noise gate, that the input gate control responds a lot better and more forgiving to playing using the volume control. What I find when I'm using the simple gate, which I normally use, it doesn't let me do that. Not as much anyway. So I try to, when possible, use the input gate. Now, in fairness, yeah. That's a shitload of gain, isn't it? Yeah? And it's working really, really well. So, I'll come back to the compressor part of it and explain what I was going to do with that a little bit later on. Let's go to the meat and veg of this. Yeah, the speaker, the amp and the speaker. So my thought around this was to try and use just standard amps in the patch. When Edward was first writing the first kind of albums, he was using this, basically what it was about, and modifying his own standard gear. Yeah. So I did have a lot of different amps which I downloaded, which I thought, shall I use that one? I've even got the Jose a modded Plexi amp profile. I thought, shall I use that? No. I'm going to stick with using just standard amps and try and get the best out of that tone as close as I can, which is what Edward did with the standard amps, which he did originally, yeah? So, what I went with, good old Brit Plexi 50 patch one. I know it's similar in the Randy Rhodes one, but it's what they used at that time. Yeah, it's an amp that they used. So, gain 1, 7.1, gain 2, 3.5. All right. So, let me roll off the gain 1. The more top end, 3.5. There's the 3.5, just gives that little bit of bottom end girth. Okay, I've opted for bass all the way up. Bass in this patch was a bit of an issue for me because he hasn't got really a huge bassy tone. But it was just if I left it off when I was playing through the patch, it just sounded there was something missing. So I'll show you what I've essentially done on this patch. For me, it was a game changer. I loved the patch after I'd applied it. I'll show you in a minute what I mean in a minute. But for the time being, again, use these patches, guys. I'm not charging you for them. I'm just kind of giving you a little bit of a head start on the tones that you're after, and trying to get as close as I can. All right. So, bass around 9. Now, lesson number 1. Okay, for those of you who want to know a little bit about about scenes, this is what these are. So I'm not sure if you're aware. This is probably aimed at more the beginners who's not aware about using scenes. Any part within the Cortex control, or even on the quad cortex, can be assigned. Any parameter can be assigned to a scene. A scene. So imagine essentially that, like on your different, if you've been using like the Ampere and stuff like that, yeah. To get the different tones, you go up different patches. With these, with the quad cortex and the helix and stuff like that, they were using scenes. What you can do is essentially you can have up to 8 with the quad cortex, up to 8 different patches within one patch. You can even completely add, and you can add amps. So I've got different amps and stuff. I've got different speakers. I've got complete different rigs within one rig. When I'm swapping between different amps and speakers and stuff like that, all within one patch using scenes. So essentially, all you do is you right click on what you want, yeah, and assign the scene. So I want like this, I assign the scenes. So volume levels. If you just want to have, say you've got your dry patch or your main rhythm tone, but you just want to up a little bit of bit more volume for a lead. If you haven't got a volume pedal, then what you would do is you create that one scene, copy that scene to a next one, yeah, and all you would do then is you would assign the output to scenes. On the one of them, just keep it as normal. On the other one, have it a little bit higher. It's that simple. It's an absolute game changer. So what I've done on here is, I'll show you a little bit later for some like the chorus, this chorus patch definitely, where I've taken the gain right down. Hence, that's why I've got the vast majority of the scenes, of the scenes in here, yeah, the same apart from that one because I'm using the scenes effect on here. You can right click on yeah, you can do this via the actual quad cortex itself. All you essentially do is you long hold down on the screen the like the on off or something like that, or whatever parameter, and you get the option of assign the scenes. It's really simple, brilliant. I absolutely love its pedal board. Anyway, right, so back to the tone, yeah. Cabs, no Celestions in sight. Yeah, I've gone for the 412 EV straight G12. Yeah, so it's an EV cab. It's got that more top end tone to it than a Celestion, vintage Celestion, something like that. Yeah. Question for you, right? Do you reckon people, when they originally had these speaker cabs, the speakers were called vintage Celestions? We just called Celestions at that time, wasn't it? I know it's so stupid. Anyway, so EVs I've opted for here. Completely standard. However, because this is a very toppy patch, I've just rolled off a little bit on the speaker cab. All right. Without it, it's just it just needs that taming, just a slight taming at the top end. So I was thinking with this patch here now, yeah. But I've been doing some research on what people are using to get the brown sound, yeah, the EVH brown sound sort of tones. What I've been seeing is people have been using stuff like Ibanez tube screamers and stuff like that to use. Now, I've been around a few years, 53 apparently, and what I seem to remember in the day was there were a couple of pedals that a lot of the American players were using, and that was Boss. So I went for the SD1. That I found tipped it over into the brown sound. So Plexi without. With. It just gives that tone. Yeah. Not much overdrive. Just driving it and a little bit extra more tone on top. That, for me, that's that at that moment when I went, oh, okay, hang on, we're getting here somewhere. So yeah, the SD1. I did try the Tube Screamer, but just didn't do it for me. I'll tell you what, let me switch this off a second. By the way, scenes, right click on it, assign to scenes. Yeah. So let me put in the Tube Screamer, green 808. Yeah. I'll use the same settings roughly. Compare that now to the SD1. Can you hear the difference? Yeah? Compared to the Tube Screamer. It's got that mid push in it, which the Tube Screamer didn't have. Not on here anyway. Anyway, let me take that away. Be gone with you. So, right. Next. You know me and my EQs. Which I used to use. Yeah. I pinched this after doing some research. Again, mid boost, rolling off a little bit of the bottom end, and a little bit, just giving that extra little bit around the 8K for the top end, yeah? So mid boost. Now, I've used an EQ twice in this patch. There. Let me turn this off. And this is what I was saying about earlier, yeah? So I've got a fair bit of bass in the actual amp. I'm rolling it off there on the previous EQ. This is what it sounded like without that second one. Almost like a finisher. The difference? It does sound a lot more like the albums. Yeah. But it just didn't sit right playing with it. So, what I did was, okay, you got all the phases and flanges and effects and stuff like that. Before this is a big one as well, the delay. Before that, I added this back in. And all I basically wanted to do was just add a little bit of bottom end girth to it. I like a little bit of girth. Anyway, to this. Yeah. lot more pleasant. I'm not sure it's just because I like a nice big fat bottom, but that sounds a lot more pleasant, a lot more Edward-esque. Yeah. I saw Edward play on the, where was it? No, I think it was the All You Wait One 2 tour over in the UK, or just after that. Just everything I thought and expected and more. Resistant Meds. Anyway, so back to the tone. Yeah. So EQ. Yeah. So I'm rolling off at the bottom there. Yeah. That's basically the settings he used to use. So if you want, guys, just knock off that second EQ or delete it. Yeah. Or just tailor it as you fucking want. It's up to you. Anyway. Now we're getting into the realms of, I'll come to the after effects. Yeah. This here was also an Edward game changer. So I'm just using what I heard was a lot of people was adding like almost like a single slap back to his tone. That single slap back. But that makes this difference. So I'll turn it off. It does work. It's that for me. It just had that old Edward Van Halen 1, Van Halen 2 sound to it. Yeah, it just did it for me. A lot of the tones as well that I was hearing off the albums, it wasn't a lot of reverb, so I just had just a little bit of background cave. Yeah, not much, just to make it a little bit more palatable. Yeah. Right. Okay. So let's get on to our scenes. So, just bring in the first boy, which is the phaser. So this is where, going back to our scenes, a little bit instructional, yeah? So for the first one, I've got it switched off. For the second one now, for the second scene, it's switched on. Again, all by essentially by having that on or off. Assigning that to the scenes first. Or, right, whenever you bring in something new, if it's on, and then you assign it to scenes, it'll be on in all the rest of your scenes as well. So you have to go through them all to just turn them all off. All right? When you do it, you'll understand. Anyway, so scene 2. Scene 2, Act 2. Yeah, it's got Edward written all over that, isn't it? Yeah. So the Phase 90 or Phase 95, MX5 95 year. So these are settings. Just a little bit on this one. I'll explain it by. So what I've done is I've made it a lot more pronounced. So what I would say, kind of use this sort of tone for your normal rhythm sort of tone. It's not in your face. Then, again, notice I've got the scene switched on. So I've right-clicked, like I've done here, assigned the scenes. I've done the mix. Yeah. Now, how many buttons on the MXR phase 90? Fucking one, if I don't remember rightly. I think it's just basically the amount of phaser. Anyway, I know it's definitely not 1, 2, 3. It's all these options. So, yeah, I just opted for a bit of mix. Now, I've copied this scene over onto the next one, the Mo phase, renamed it. So in here, renamed it. And all I've done then, bang, is I've upped the amount, and it sounds more like this. A lot more prominent. Yeah, now it's starting to really proper edify, innit? Edify, is that true? It is now. Yeah, now you're seeing that Edward Van Halen pop out. Yeah, phase 90. Okay, so that's a phaser dealt with. Then we come to Le Flangeur. So, there was a moment in my childhood, or my late teens, when I heard this. Unchained. What the fuck is that? Wow. Can't play it for shit. But, yeah, it is strange. I've tried copying loads of different guitarists over the years, but my heroes I've just left alone. I've never really learned a lot of their music. Their kind of style maybe, but not their music. It's like as if I'm not good enough to do it, which I'm not. Anyway, which brings me to our little competition, guys. Not a competition, it's a bit of fun. All right, you've got this far in the video, okay? So if you've got this far, you deserve a little bit of a breather, a little bit of a break. So something I'm going to put in my videos for those of you who are going to stay around for a fair. And just know a lot of the video time, yeah, hanging around. I want you to comment. Let's have a bit of fun in the comment section. And if you've got this far, right, what I want you to do now, try and keep it funny, all right. But I want you to use the words Scott's playing is, and just take the piss. Yeah? Scott's playing is, take the piss. I don't give a shit what you say in there. The funnier the better. Alright? Anyway, back to it. So the flanger. Yeah, absolutely. It's got Edward written all over. Okay, Edward. Oh, right. Let's go on to our second line now. Let me tune it back up again. Right. Chorus. So, chorus, I found he used a lot more in later on sort of years where was dripping in chorus. One of the highlights of Eddie Van Halen's show was his solo. It went on for 9 million years, but we loved him for it. Yeah, and part of his solo was where he was clean. So, so what I've done for that one is I've rolled, again, this is what I've used as signed the scenes on the game 1 and game 2, brought them right back. Yeah, I've knocked off, because again, I've used signed the scenes. So this is where you see now, so this is a completely different tone. Yeah, completely different tone. So I've knocked off the SD1. This is almost bordering on his later tones now, isn't it? Yeah, but I've brought the gain right down. Now, one thing I thought was fucking weird was I've got the gain on gain 2 0. I've got the gain 1 on 0.5. I've got the SD1 off, but I'm still getting that amount of gain. Jesus Christ. I know I'm boosting on the output stage, but anyway. So yes. It cleans up really, really nicely. So that's my chorus. Then you go into a bit more of the additional chorus. Right, now, can you see what I've done here? Fucking Scott, what are you doing adding a compressor? So, Edward was the king of tapping. You've got millions of others that have come after him. There were the odd one or two before him as well. If you listen to him in interviews, he said he got it from things like watching Jimmy Page. Just doing the like that, and then adding the extra capo, extra finger in that interview. I've also heard in the past that he got it from watching not Billy Gibbons, Dusty Hill from ZZ Top. Or Billy Gibbons, I'm not sure, one or two, but I think it was Dusty Hill. But anyway, but he was the king of tapping. Just was. It was amazing. So, what I wanted to try and do, because there's a lot of gain in this patch, I wanted to try and almost tame it a little bit for tapping. Yeah, I found using the compressor, it did that for the tapping side of it. You know, you get a lot of these people that put like the band on the top of the neck, so it kind of did almost like that. Yeah, if I take it off, so if I again assign the scenes, this is where I'm using it in different scenes. Yeah. So if I take it off, well, I'm trying to do the tapping now. When I'm playing it, it's almost overrunning a little bit. Yeah, it just tames it a little bit, so it makes the tapping a little bit just neater. Yeah, so that's all I've really done for this one. If you're a better player than I am, which majority of you are, then you don't really need to do something like that. But I found for my proper tapping, that that helped. The last two guys on this one was I'd kind of run out of ideas, so I just took away the delay. That slap back delay. It's essentially it's just purely as the copy of the EVH main. Yeah, so. It's not really that noticeable, is it? Yeah, and a full dry one. So with that, now you can hear that delay, yeah? Yeah? Now you can hear it properly because the reverb is almost masking it. Yeah, and so on. So, Edward Van Halen. Oh, one little thing that I've learned actually recently. So for using the quad Cortex, you know I've added in the EQ. Yeah. Notice I've done these here. When I was arsing around with this patch and trying to decide whether I was going to add a bit more bass or something like that, and before I put the extra additional EQ in it, I added these in. So what I was going to try and do was almost like have one scene with a little bit more extra bottom end and one a little bit less. But anyway, on the quad Cortex, it's really easy. Yeah, actually yourself. So essentially, all you do, the bars themselves. The bars themselves at the bottom, you just hold down, and you'll get that little grid, the little 4 grid A, B, C, D. Yeah, on there, it's really easy. On the Cortex control, I was right clicking, everywhere. You can do it on here. So on any of these, yeah, assign a scene, you got to do it right on the bottom here. So if you're using Cortex control, you right click on the bottom end underneath, which actually is roughly on the same sort of area on the actual Cortex itself. But anyway, so guys, I'm hoping that's been of use to you. A little bit of an instructional with scenes for Girl. Thanks very much for watching, guys. And hopefully, I'm going to see some fun comments in the comment section. Anyway, I'll catch you again soon. If any of you got any ideas on what you want, some patches, some sounds alike patches, I don't charge for any of these patches, guys. So it's best endeavours. If you don't like them, fuck off. I'll see you later, guys. Ta-ra.